This is Cardinal Borghese, private secretary to the Pope. In many ways, this formal bust, done in around 1630, is nothing more than one of a number of vanity projects that came out of Italy during the Renaissance. It's done in near standard white marble, and at first glance it is exactly what it appears, a fat man in his robes. But if you add a little context, it starts to become rather extraordinary. Firstly, the sculpture is the bust of a living person done in their lifetime, a major taboo in this period. No one at this point was doing busts of living people, and no one had done it since the Romans. And now, if you look at the bottom of this sculpture, you'll notice that there's a button which is half done up. This guy's actually seriously fat. His robes only just fit. His collar is crumpled like he just got dressed, and there's this tuft of hair sticking out from underneath his hat, which is sort of cocked back on his head. Not just has that hat only just been stuffed on, but he's balding underneath it. Finally, and most damningly, if you look at the sculpture, you can see a sort of film of sweat coming off this guy. It's a fat man in a city trying to avoid perspiring. And no one does busts of fat people who are also inordinately wealthy. Certainly no one, Roman or otherwise, does busts of powerful people looking fat, badly dressed and sweating, especially not when the subject is the person paying for the sculpture. And somewhat surprisingly, Borghese, cardinal, man of incredible power, wealth and influence, who exercised literal control of life and death over people in the Papal States for almost 30 years, and later founder of one of the world's most amazing collections of art, had this sculpture placed in his front room for the whole of his life. And the reason? Simple. One man. Gianni Lorenzo Bernini, creator of life in marble. Creator, actually, of sex, nymphs, nuns, and more sex. People he'd slept with, people he'd fantasized about sleeping with, people who other people had slept with. Bernini revolutionized the nature of sculpture. Where there was stone, he brought substance. Where there was hard, crafted marble, he brought flesh and opulence and sex. But there was a darker side. This is Costanzia. She was considered to be one of the most beautiful women in Rome at the time, renowned for her laugh, her smile, and her joie de vivre. Born of an upper-class aristocratic family, but married lowly. Demure and chaste and serene she is not. In fact, every single taboo about women is broken in this picture. Her shirt is rumpled, her cleavage partially visible in an invitation. Her hair is swept back but not fast and loose like a harlot. And that shirt! It's hardly fitting to go outside in, more like something one might wear in the apartment of a lover. Her lips slightly parted, in the act of speech perhaps, an invitation, maybe even a dressing down. This is a woman that Bernini knows, in every sense. She is also, unfortunately, the wife of one of his assistants, and worse still, she's banging Bernini's younger brother. There's trouble brewing in his life. Bernini, who had dazzled popes with his charcoals when he was just 8, who had won commissions across the whole of Italy, across the whole of the known world. This is Bernini who knew every powerful man, every powerful patron, every nook and every cranny of the church. Bernini the invincible, Bernini the perfect, and now Bernini the betrayed. In the end, catching this woman and his brother proved to be child's play. Bernini had disguised himself as a servant and hung around outside Costanzia's house. Eventually his brother emerged, and when he did, Bernini struck. A chase ensued. Bernini chased his brother across the whole of Rome, winding up eventually on the steps of St. Peter's, where, carrying a sword in flagrant violation of all church law, he attempted to kill his own kind. He ran into the church itself, pulled out an iron bar, and smashed his brother across the back with it, breaking 2 of his ribs in the process. And if it hadn't been for the passing guards, he probably would have killed him then and there. His punishment? Almost nothing. 3,000 scudos, which was waived by the Pope. Moreover, in the cold light of day when he should have known better, Bernini sent a servant round to the beautiful Costanzia's house. And when the servant left, Costanzia's face had been cut to ribbons. The man who had created in marble had destroyed in flesh. And his punishment for this was nothing at all, for she was at fault as a fornicator and was jailed